was seventh grade in Central Junior High School in Kalispell, Montana. We started school, and the music teacher seemed to have picked about a dozen guys, maybe 9 guys, from that she was aware of through discussion or rumor on the street that could sing, and she formed a boys' singing group in our seventh grade class. Herb was the accompanist, and I just happened to be one of the guys. But we had a lot of fun singing. We're involved in those activities. It continued through 8th grade and then into high school. So that was the beginning of that situation.
Well, I probably have known him longer than you. I've
Can we
known
say
you.
hi, Herb?
Yeah, I've known you my whole life, but you know, you were kind of hanging out with my mom and my dad, and I was a teenager and, you know, college kid, and yeah, Herb's coming, and Herb's in town, and Herb's coming over for dinner, and those are the things I remember. But I remember going down to Mary's wedding in Sacramento, and you you were there to play for her wedding, and you had this girlfriend that you were smitten by, and we heard all about Frances, this younger woman, and I think we maybe even got to talk to her on the phone. At any rate, you married her, and you had 2 beautiful daughters with her, and I got to know you much better as years went by and as I was an adult and paid more attention to my family. And, you know, that's how I first remember you.
Hi there, Herb. This is Connie, as you remember. And my first introduction of you was from Arvid, your dear friend at St. Olaf, because we met through another friend from St. Olaf, that was Ivan Goplin and Christine Goplin. And because of that, you know, we got to talking about St. Olaf a lot, and of course then your name came up. And we, when we set our wedding date on August the 8th, 1965, Arvid said we need to have Herb Iverson come here and play. And we did. That was the first time I met you.
When I was called to be pastor of First Congregational Church in San Bernardino, I think I started on July 1st of 1990, and I needed a place to stay because I came alone. Sonia would be moving down a few weeks later, and so the Iversons opened their home, and because they were Herb and you and Frances were taking off on a trip, and you also wanted somebody to be there to check the watering and to see that the plants were taken care of and whatever. But I got to stay in your home by myself as your guest for, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks maybe, and so that's how I met. Well, I didn't meet because I think we met and then you left town, and then of course when you came back, we were deeply involved with each other for the next 12 or so years on staff there at the church.
When I think I first met Herb was at your mother's house, and you and Frances and Esther was a little bitty
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
I think, and that was for Uncle Ed's birthday.
Oh, that's right.
I think that's what it was. So 1979 probably.
I remember you, I heard about you after I met Dave. I certainly heard about you, and but I didn't get to meet you until Dave and I were married, because you and Doc flew up from California just for the service. And Doc didn't even get an invitation. Somehow he didn't get an invitation. It got missed out. But anyway, you and Doc came up, and so you flew into Seattle, and then you had to charter a little plane to fly, I guess, to Fidalgo Island where we lived. And so it was just this tiny little charter. And I was waiting in the back of the church to walk up the aisle, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and I mean, I was waiting a long time. It must have been 20 minutes. But anyway, you and Doc showed up. So Dave's dad was doing the service for us, So he had explained to the people, why you're all sitting here and nothing's happening. We're waiting for Herb. So you came, Doc came, and then we had the ceremony, and everything was, just wonderful. And I still hadn't met you personally yet, but at the reception, you came down into the basement, into the fellowship hall, and you played the piano. And it was so fun because your presence when you're playing is, here's this California guy up in my wedding in little Anacortes, playing for us, and it was so fun. So then afterwards I got to meet you, and then you became personally special, part of my family too. So that was my introduction to you.
But I heard the story about when you both were at St. Olaf and you were an organ major. And Arvid met you, I think, by going to chapel, maybe. And when he was studying, he would love to go hiding under the alcove where your organ was located at the college. And you'd be practicing, and he would be studying, and he would just love it. But he wanted to get out of it real quick if you came out because he had to do more studying and didn't have time to talk.
I think one of the unique things that we did, especially in high school, was near the holiday season, a music store in Kalispell had an open window display, and on Friday night, when the stores were open in downtown Kalispell, Herb would play either the piano or the organ in the window of that music store, and there were some kids from the high school choir, me included. We'd hang around and we would often sing with what Herb played. So that was probably one of the most satisfying adventures.
And so it's been fun to watch you as you, in your musical field, how you blessed people with your music, how you used your music, and then so often you would come up to not to Anacortes, but to St. Paul's here to play. Dad always asked you to play, some hymns or the offertory or something, and so the people always enjoyed that, and it was such a highlight just for me and Dave to sit there knowing this is our Herb.
Tim is a friend of Doug's who came out to our house, out to the farm there, and he saw Herb coming up the sidewalk, or he saw Herb and he said something, and it...
So Herb didn't see him coming.
That's
didn't
right.
see him, and he heard Tim talking, and Herb was
looking around like it was God talking to him. And one of the funny things, there's a few funny things. I remember Grace, I was telling her about this earlier, getting to have just a small teaspoon of sugar on her cereal, and as soon as you turned her back, she piled it on. And the secret was good with me.
Well, my memories are primarily in worship, in the sanctuary. Pulpit was just 5 feet from the organ console, and I just remember, week in and week out, Herb, you at the console, me in the pulpit, and the close communication that we had with simply a slight gesture or a look or a movement or whatever, and how close and tuned we were constantly to, in the leading the worship. I remember coming out of a service one Sunday, and somebody said to me, that service was just kind of amazing. The music and the scripture and the sermon, it all seemed to fit together. It's almost like you plan these things. And of course, we'd spend hours during the week and weeks prior planning in great detail. But it was just funny that someone thought somehow it all just happened.
So hello, Herb. Happy birthday. This is Arnold. And I wish Sven were here, and Eric and Sonia and Olin, but I guess you'll have to be satisfied with just me on the video. I have one memory from going way back when I was very young, even when we were still living in Edmonds and you would come and visit us, that you would play the piano every time, and you had this real kind of enthusiasm and joy that when you played. It was really exciting to hear you play. For example, even the like ragtime music, I remember that, how much joy and really great enthusiasm you brought to it. And I know that it has been a blessing for you personally, but how many others, countless others by now. And so God blessedly rich you on this birthday.
One of the things that I remember one time when you came to church, you always came prepared, but this time, for some reason, I don't remember what, but anyway, you were going to play the offertory. You agreed to play the offertory, and so the piano is in the back of the church, and so the people didn't really see who the organ or the piano player was, and our piano player did fine. And so when it was offertory time, you know, you start with such presence, and I have never seen whiplash in an entire congregation like that Sunday. Everybody went, oh! You know, they couldn't believe the music that was coming out of that piano.
One of the things I like the most about you, Herb, is that you are very faithful to your friends. And you and Arvid have seen each other through his lifetime anyway, practically every year since you left Northfield. And we left Northfield as well, of course, Arvid did. So I think it's a wonderful attribute you have. And we have appreciated keeping in touch, having you visit, we visiting, enjoying music, and now our children getting to know one another. Wonderful to have Grace and her husband here now. And that you have hosted Sven so many times for concerts, and he's gotten to appreciate California life from you too. And Sven was a little boy, and we came down to Sacramento area where it was you were teaching one time. He was just a little guy, like 4 or 5 years old, and you had him sing for your students. I think it was like some good popular folk songs at that time. It was just really fun. So you have been such a supportive person for our family.
Yeah, Herb, we are so glad you were born. You are a blessing and a joy in our lives, and we hope this day for you is just a wonderful, grand celebration of the gift of life.
A beautiful musical that he would love to hear sometime here, and keep going with his music. A wonderful family get-together. Blessings in the year ahead with better health and more open space, more openness between people without any COVID problems, and God's peace in all.
Oh, just sit up and play Roll Out the Barrels.
That would make a party.
Yeah.
And I wish for you joy, and I wish for you comfort and strength and peace, and, you know, your mother's lifespan.
And I'll just add that, Herb, my wish for you is that you would know deep in your heart just how many people truly love and value you for who you are.
Oh, Herb, there's so many things. You have been a blessing to so many people, to Dave and I, and having Francis become part of the family, and then getting the girls, and now their families are expanding. So it's just such a blessing to see how the Lord works and the thread that He's in. So I don't know, Herb. I just want you to feel the presence of Jesus, you know, his comfort, His mercy, like I have after Dave died. Because nothing like it. No matter our position or where we are, it is amazing. So, happy birthday, Herb. I'm wishing you the Lord's blessing and the joy and the peace that comes from Him. And just have a great time with the family and the kids. Just celebrate. Celebrates God's presence in your life and His presence in your family. So, I miss you and Francis up here, but I'm thinking of you, and you're in my prayers and my love. So happy birthday, Herb. Tell Francis hi.
We love you. You've been very precious to all of us in our family. Your name comes up often at any Gilbertson gathering, and especially the DBGs. They have a very fond spot for you in their hearts, and Bruce especially, because he took lessons from you. He asks if I've heard from you, usually when I see him. So, anyway, happy birthday. Hello, Francis, and hello, Esther. And it's so nice to have Grace come and visit us every 2 years.
Yeah.
We love it. So, and we love Jay. So lucky you guys. I hear you like him too.
What do you wish for Herb on his 85th?
That he would feel as happy to be born as we all are.
Oh, that's good.
A gift to the world.
Big gifts to the world, yeah.
Hey, Herb. 85, can you believe that? We're all in the same boat. But haven't we had a good time? Haven't we had satisfying careers? And haven't we enjoyed just a phenomenally rich life? Hope you're in there on that wavelength. Have a good one.
Let me just add, you don't know me, Herb. I'm Roger. I'm Dean's son. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.